In July, Vice President Biden, Secretary Vilsack, Secretary Locke, and other top administrative officials actually traveled to Erie County in my district to highlight the role of the Recovery Act broadband programs. And as I noted then, broadband access is critical to rural business competitiveness. Mr. Adelstein, can you highlight how some of the proposed projects you've seen address those rural competitiveness issues, particularly in the areas of education and health care?
Well, we've seen a lot of that. Your district is where this whole thing kicked off, and my boss, Secretary Vilsack, came out there and was thrilled to see the possibilities for Erie. We've been involved in a number of projects in the past, Community Connect projects that for what we call our distance learning telemedicine program and our Community Connect program that fund educational and healthcare services that are really critical for sustainable growth in rural areas that make people want to live there. We have seen great success in allowing remote clinics, for example, to be able to get access to specialty hospitals that have the expertise that can deal with emergency issues that come up in rural areas that otherwise they wouldn't have available that kind of expertise in a rural clinic, and they may not have time to get to the urban area. But because of the beauty of telemedicine, they can do that. But you can't send these large data, the radiographical information, and instant communication with the specialty hospitals to do the diagnostics they need to, unless you have broadband. So, for healthcare, I think it's critical. I was in Alaska, up in Kotzebue one time, and if you're out in the bush outside of Kotzebue, these villages that can take 60 miles by dog sled is the only way to get to Kotzebue, just even that health clinic. So if we don't have broadband out there, and they're using satellite now, which has got issues in that particular community, they don't have the ability to get the health care they need. So for education, for health care, I think you're exactly right that these are critical applications for small rural businesses in small rural areas.
I have a question regarding the actual process of determination as to who actually receives these grants. I had one of the applicants come into my office actually this week, and they have come through highly recommended, but were not recommended by the state. How much is the state's recommendation going to play in this? Because part of the question was, because the state is also applying for their own projects, is there some weighting going on there within the state to try to make sure that their own projects are getting funded, and they're then recommending who gets funded and who does not? So I guess I'm asking the question, is there a fairness in this, and how much is that state?
Sure. This is really unique to our program at the Department of Commerce. We did give each state an opportunity to provide input to us on the applicant pool. What we were primarily focused on was getting information from them in terms of what they would identify as the areas of their state geographically that they viewed as priority areas for our project dollars. You are correct that in some cases states have applied directly themselves for grants. The statute, however, gives states the ability to provide this input to us. I think the conflict is out in the open for everyone to see. When we get these letters back, they are just another piece of input for us to our process. They're not determinative of anything. For an application to pass into due diligence, it's reviewed by 3 independent reviewers, and it has to pass a threshold score from those reviewers to be passed into due diligence. A state cannot recommend a project and have it come into due diligence if it doesn't otherwise merit that evaluation from our independent reviews.
So if there was 2 projects, though, that were equal, and the state recommendations probably would have some weight in that, then.
It's another factor that we would look at along with a host of other issues.
But I should be able to tell this applicant that they're not out of the picture because the state did not put them on the recommended
That's correct.
list. Is that correct?
That's
okay,
correct.
I appreciate that. Mr. Adelstein, in testimony delivered earlier this year, NTIA's Mark Seifert encouraged applicants that involve partnerships among small businesses and municipalities and others joining together to promote broadband. In my own community, I've got these two applicants, one who came in and talked to me, who have joined together. What steps are being taken to encourage this partnership across the country and as we go into further application process?
It's great you raise that issue because it's actually something we're thinking a lot about at USDA. Our Secretary Vilsack, is very interested in regional economic development, being any regions that are banding together to try to work towards the development of that area tend to be more successful historically than those that are operating on their own. So we are, in the RFI that we're going to put out, planning to ask questions about how can we encourage exactly those efforts? How can we look to regional planning that includes an element that would support broadband? How would broadband fit into that regional economic development plan to encourage these communities to work together towards a comprehensive solution? It's not enough to get broadband to the community. We want them to have a broader economic development plan that would.
So do they get a higher score if this is included? Because I've seen great things happen in my own district where they are coming together, county government, small businesses, other economic development engines.
That's one of the options that we have for the next round. That's one of the questions we're going to ask in this request for information is, should we award higher points to those that have regional development plans that include a broadband element? I think it's a good suggestion.
Okay. My time has expired.